Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we're going to talk about AMD's AMD Fluid Motion frame. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. What I'm showing you right now is the frame rates that I'm getting with these games because I can't record it. For some reason, it's not showing me. It's only showing me the regular frame rate. So I had to go in here and actually see some of this stuff. Now look at this Horizon Zero Dawn, 351 frames, and that was at 4K resolution. Gotham Knights, 141. If the game has, if the game had ray tracing in it, I had ray tracing enabled. You see 192 for Marvel Spiderman, 137 for the other Spider-Man remastered. Overpass 2, I'm getting 149 frames at 1440p. Most of these games were done at 1440p. Remnant 2, 156 frames. It's just mind-boggling. I was trying to get it working with The Last of Us, but I wasn't. I was able to get 97 frames at 1440p with all the ray tracing enabled on The Witcher 3 at 1440p. So I was pretty excited about that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of this gameplay because I want to talk about the experience and how I feel about the fluid motion frames, the hardware side of this. Now this is all part of the beta not the beta program, but the preview build for the new AMD drivers that should be launching by the end of the year. There's something I want you to pay close attention to. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on the video per se, but when I'm in these games and I'm just running like this, the camera is so it just glides. It feels so incredibly smooth. It's not even funny. But I have noticed with the AMD Fluid Motion frames, if you pan the camera really fast, what it will do is will lower the resolution, and it tries to it disengages the frame rate. It disengages that, so it looks kind of wonky when you turn the camera side to side real fast. If you pan the camera, you can tell. So that's one of the things they need to work on. But when you're in fast motion or when you're in combat or anything like that, you're not noticing any of that type of stuff. If the game has access to AMD FSR 2 or whatever, you can enable that. You can do quality, whatever, but you cannot have this running. You can't have the HYPR-RX version of RSR running in simultaneously with this, but you can enable those settings in game to try to boost your frame rate. At 1080p, you're going to want, you need at least a minimum of 55 frames. 1440p and 4K, you need they're suggesting at least 70 frames. So if you get in there and your frame rate is lower than that, it's going to reflect, and you're going to get a lot more, not necessarily judder, but just it won't feel as stable. It'll feel stable in straight motion, but camera turning, stuff like that. Because I tried doing all this with 4K, and that's why it's taken so long to get this video out. I was trying to do all of this with 4K, but yeah, it just wasn't a super stable experience unless I wanted to go ultra performance or something like that, or just play on certain games. There are certain games that I can do 4K and it works just fine, but I decided for this test to be able to go ahead and get this content out and explain this, it had to be 1440p for this one. One thing I was going to say, with this enabled, your Afterburner or any of those kind of things are just not going to show you the frame rate that you're getting. That's why I pulled up that thing in the beginning of it, because that there is showing me the frames, because it just shows you the regular frames. Another thing that you cannot use with this is HDR. You will not be able to use HDR or FreeSync or G-Sync or VRR or any of that stuff. You have to turn all of that off for this to even work. And when you do that, in some games, if you're not hitting over your frame rate, this is the thing, if you're not over your frame rate, you will get vertical screen tearing. I meant, well, you'll get horizontal screen tearing, and it's usually like right in the middle of the screen, so very, very noticeable. So you want to make sure that your base frame rate is going to be above what they said. I would shoot for above, like something like Horizon Zero Dawn. We'll be talking about that one in a minute too, but what I want you to look at is like this right here is all the ray tracing in Cyberpunk at 1440p with quality FSR 2.2 running. So I'm getting all of that, but I'm getting a super smooth experience with this. As you can see, my average frame rate on this one was like 219 frames, and it feels incredibly smooth. Like, it feels very, very smooth, and it looks incredible. And when I'm playing it, and when I'm just running through the streets and all of that, so when they bring FSR 3 and fluid motion or and frame gen over to this game, this one here is going to benefit significantly from the higher quality FSR 3. FSR 2 is looking pretty, 2.2 is looking pretty good, but this is going to look significantly better with FSR 3 and full-on frame gen. This works, but you're going to want to not pan the camera a whole lot, but it will work. Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this video here, I actually did record this one at 4K because I was just getting ridiculous frames in this game. Like, it was so high that like if I would turn the camera, because my screen's max out at 165, it would just screen tear so bad. I don't know if it captured any of that, but yeah, like this one right here, running this at 4K, it just feels incredibly smooth. Like, it's like, wow, so smooth. It's so incredible to play these games when you've got such a smooth image quality. And it's almost kind of like what it's like a super version of low frame rate compensation. It's like a supercharged. That's kind of the way I'm feeling about it. My overall feelings for AMD's fluid motion frames is it feels way more like low frame rate compensation. Like if you're playing like a 30 frames per second game on a 4K screen, like an OLED or something, and you have VRR and low frame rate compensation kicked in, you get like this smoother screen. Like the screen just feels a lot smoother. But with this enabling, like, you know, your anti-lag and your anti-lag plus, you're going to be able to utilize that. So in all, when I'm playing this, because I'm playing all of these games on a controller, I'm not noticing that lag. It just feels smooth. My button prompts feel incredible. I'm still trying to look at the whole latency type thing, but I think that as long as we're at 60, 70 frames or whatever before we actually get in there and start playing, I feel like the experience with a controller is going to feel pretty dang smooth. Like, it's going to feel good. It's going to give you more of that. Like, you're just going to be able to, like, you're going to feel it. Like, you're not noticing any, you're not noticing the latency. At least I'm not. Like, I'm not noticing it. That's why I was playing some games like this where I got to dodge and move around a lot. Not getting any ghosting, anything like that. So that's a big thing. That's a good thing. Not being able to see any of the ghosting or any of that stuff, like, that's pretty freaking cool. Like, I do really, really appreciate the overall experience that I'm getting out of playing all of these different games with this frame generation. Well, fluid motion frames. I think that's a little bit different than frame gen, because the frame gen from like something like Forspoken versus this, that one there just absolutely feels incredible. All of these games feel fine too. Like they really do feel fine, but I just kind of feel like the frame gen is going to be separate from this. This here is more of like a play on, you know, your screen refresh, all of that type of stuff to give you like a more fluid experience, and that's kind of what it feels like to me. To be completely honest with you, that's what this feels like. It does feel good. It does feel great. Like it honestly enhances your visual experience, at least in terms of like your refresh and what you're seeing and how you're perceiving the screen. There are some bugs with it. Not bugs, but it's not like 100% finished. Like I said, if you pan the camera, you get that like janky. You get a little bit of jankiness depending on how fast you move it. If you slow pan, you won't notice it. It's just like, oh yeah. So you can stop and like turn your head or turn your camera and look at all the visuals and do all of that. But when you pan the camera like really fast, you're gonna notice. It's not like a ghosting effect. It's almost like a vertical. It's almost like a vertical screen tearing. It looks more like a vertical screen tear on sharp vertical lines. Like if I was to pan the camera like real fast right now, you would see like the mountains kind of judder. Is basically what it looks like and what it feels like for me anyways. Now, I wanted to say, like at first when I started clicking this on, I couldn't even tell. Like I couldn't even tell like if it was working or not, because I was waiting for like my frame rate counter to show me that I was getting more frames, whatever else. So at first I didn't even think it was actually working until I actually got in here and started playing around with some of these games, like turning it on, turning it off, using the same settings, stuff like that, and then it clicked. I was like, wow, that really does feel way smoother, and it does. Like it just feels even smoother. So if you're playing, that's kind of the thing, though, man. Like this is gonna benefit people with higher end cards, like your higher end 1440p card. Definitely is going to benefit your 1080p. Well, yeah, it's going to benefit pretty much everybody, but this is a 7000 series 7000 series thing right now. It's not available with the I don't think it's available with 6000 series GPUs. They just put it out for the 7000s. So us being able to get to play around with this is actually kind of cool. Like I do like that. I do like the fact that they're bringing in the community and letting us help them like test drive this stuff. That's pretty freaking cool, especially with these types of games. Now, I mean, we're gonna move over here to Spider-Man real quick. I want to talk about Spider-Man for a minute. Now, I love this game. I think it's absolutely incredible. The overall feeling that I get, and there's a big reason why I put Spider-Man, especially Miles Morales, in here. Miles Morales has the shadow ray tracing. It has the reflection ray tracing and the global illumination or something. So it's got like 3 different ray tracings on this one. And normally when I would play it without the fluid motion frames, you would kind of like not feel, but you would see like a judder. Like you would see like when the frame rate would dip into like the 40s, 50s, and it does it on all GPUs. It just dips like whatever. But if you got the frame counter on, you can really notice it. Without the frame counter on, like you don't notice your frame rate going that low. Now, it surprised me when I saw that I was getting almost 200 frames a second on this one at 1440p with all the ray tracing and all of those goodies enabled. I was like, wow, that's absolutely incredible. I was sitting here and I'm swinging through the streets and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, gosh, this feels insanely smooth. This has never felt this smooth on any GPU that I've ever used. This just feels incredibly good. So I was like, interesting. So then when I went and I got into some combat with it, and I was feeling how the combat felt and just how smooth the screen and the controls and everything were feeling with this game, I was like, gosh dang, man. this thing, if they can pull this off and get it tweaked to where we can get rid of like some of the visual issues with the whole screen thing, or at least get it to be able to work with like VRR or something, so that you're not noticing any of that, so that you're getting stable, solid frame rate and screen refresh rate. Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a cool feature to. I don't know if I would necessarily say depend on it, but I would use it in certain experiences. Like I'm going to be trying out some some Starfield and everything else with it, but with some of these experiences, man, like I think the ones that have ray tracing are probably going to benefit the most if you can get your frame rate to that certain point. Like if you're playing something like Spider-Man Miles Morales and you're having a lot of stutter throughout this game, I guarantee you I'm having a lot. I don't stutter as much on the 7900 XT. Now it's more of like with the Spider-Man games. Like if I'm playing them for a while, like every once in a while, it'll just take this like it'll hit like really low frames for like a second and kind of just like pause or whatever. It's not all the time. It's just every once in a while. Mostly when I'm playing for a long session or something. You know, if I'm in there for like 30 minutes, like see, get into this comment. But if I'm in like a long session and I'm playing for a little while, then it will whatchamacallit, it'll like I just said, it'll stop for a minute and then it's like, whoa, what the freak, man? So I'm like, that there seems to be 100% fixed with the frame gen thing. Obviously this is going to, you know, alleviate your CPU a little bit. Definitely it's going to help with that because your GPU is going to be, you know, doing the frames or whatever, doing all that rendering or whatever through a different type of pipeline or whatever. So it's not even rendering it. I don't know what the word for, I don't know what the gosh, I didn't pay attention to this part in the school. I'm just joking. But they're rendering these frames in a different, like asynchronous or something, like something that has to do with it's not in the general pipeline for how they're rendering the visuals. It's running like in a different type of way that's making it more whatchamacallit. It's taking less power off the CPU and putting it on the GPU, and the GPU is able to do that because the GPU can push out, you know, way more frames than what the CPU can feed it anyway. So it helps with bottlenecks. So that's pretty cool. I really appreciate that, and I have definitely noticed it in some of the games that do run pretty heavy with the CPU. I've definitely noticed that, and it has 100% made the experience even better. So I'm okay with that. I am definitely okay with that. I do not think right now that this is as good as the FSR3 with FrameGen. It's pretty dang close. You're still having to rely on like FSR2. You're still having to rely on FSR1 if the game has FSR1. But the beauty is you can use this with all DX11 games, all DX12 games. I'll be going through there and testing out some more of my Ubisoft stuff, seeing, you know, what kind of experience we can get that way. I've got Forza Motorsport coming out, Assassin's Creed Mirage. We've got next week is going to be super busy with those games. Now we're over here at Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, man. Like this game here, absolutely incredible. Like this one here kind of struggled a little bit, but now it just feels so smooth and so fluid with everything turned on at 1440p. It just glides the whole way through. I was like, wow, that is very, very impressive. I really didn't think, and I tried this after I tried Miles Morales. I was like, wait a minute, let me try Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and see how that one feels on it. So I was like, wow, that's absolutely incredible. Being able to experience this and some of these other games has been amazing. Now I have kept this video a little bit long, so I want to kind of just talk about this. So I came to this planet because when I first came here, before the last time I played this, I was running through here and I started getting like the frame rate all of a sudden was just in the 40s. And when I came from the other place from before that, My frame rate was up in the 70s and the 80s. So I wanted to come back here and I wanted to play around with this a little bit and see how it reacts in here now, because now it just feels smooth the whole way through. Like there's no glitches or no not glitches, but no slowdown or anything like that. Nothing at all. It completely just gets rid of all of that and makes it a far smoother experience that's really playable, and it looks incredible. Like it looks incredible. You're still getting all your ray tracing, you're still getting all of your high quality visuals, everything like that. So when you turn on these games and you play them with this AMD fluid motion frames, I don't want to like oversell it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to oversell it, because it is basically like it's an interesting feature, to be completely honest with you. And the way things are going with all of this tech and stuff like that is man, eventually we're just gonna like, are we even gonna be buying like graphics cards that can like brute force anything anymore? Are we just gonna rely on this magic all the time? I don't know, man. I don't know. Can it deliver an incredible experience? Can it give us high quality, high fidelity visuals? Can it give us, you know, playable frame rates to where everything? I mean, if they can make it, I mean, honestly, if they can make it to where we could play all of our games at 4K, and all of them had frame generation, and all of them felt good, and we could play multiplayer games, and we could play like the games that people put tons and tons of hours in. I mean, all of these single player games, that's one thing. But I mean, what about our Call of Duties? What about our freaking, you know, our Fortnites? All these other games that we want to play with other people and we want to be able to get in there. The games that we spend lots and lots of hours in are completely different to the games that we're just, you know, putting like 20, 30 hours in. Like it's different. So if they can find a way to make this uniform and across the board for all games, for every game, like what AMD is trying to do with AMD's fluid motion frames, then that's a different story. That right there, because that brings all the games along, and that makes it, you know, like a global setting in your AMD and stuff. So that makes it, what's the word for that? That makes it more of something that you would be able to benefit from significantly with all of your games. So that there is something that I would like to see, you know, all of these GPU makers do. I want it to be something to where we can all experience and all have fun with the same experiences. You know what I mean? Like, I want us to be able to thoroughly enjoy our graphics cards and be able to enjoy this technology. Like, the way I feel about this right now is like, it feels cool, like it feels good. It's not bad. It's not janky, you know, for the most part. When it does get janky, it's because you're like moving the camera. But as you can see right now with Remnant 2, like it freaking just glides. It's smooth, and you know, at 1440p with all of the settings on and stuff, I was like, wow, man, this Unreal Engine 5 game, and it's working with it, you know. And I'm like, what the freak? So that makes me happy about this. That makes me happy about being able to play this game and have some fun with it. So I was coming in here to do this little mission thing. I know that, like, because what I'm doing is I'm just kind of recording over everything that I already recorded for this. So, got to keep myself talking for like 25 minutes. But I don't know. We're starting to wind down. This is the last part of it. I just, you know, so I want to close with this. AMD fluid motion frames. It is a very cool idea, and it works with, you know, your DirectX 11 games. It works with your DirectX 12 games. Games that are heavily CPU bottlenecked, it really does. I think those are the ones that seriously benefit from it the most. But then you also have the other games that you can benefit from it as well. There is some stuff that they need to fix on it to make it more consistent across the board in the terms of how it how you perceive, you know, like screen tearing, stuff like that. But if they can get rid of that stuff, man, this is cool. Like it's one of those things that you just flip on and it takes care of everything for you. And it is different than, you know, it is different from a FSR3. FSR3 is a significantly higher quality version of what I'm showing you right now. FSR3, the upscaling tech in that is beautiful. It looks incredible. But then you also have the frame generation, which works really well with that and does a very good job at, you know, getting you a higher, you know, quality frame rate. So if we get some more updates for this, I mean, I'll continue to cover this. I'll continue to make some more videos on this and give you guys my thoughts on it, because I don't want to oversell this, man. Like I don't. Like it feels fine. It feels good. It gets the job done. But I don't, and you know what? I don't know, man. I don't think anybody's buying this card to be like, oh, guys, I'm going to rely on that. Like, I don't think that. This is kind of like a cherry on top. This is like a feature that you can use. Is it perfect right now? No, but it's there. You can use it. If you have a 7000 series GPU, you can use it. Now, I would like to see this come to like 6000, you know, like all of the other GPUs, but I don't think this is ever going to come to, you know, like third-party cards, which is kind of cool, man. Like this kind of puts AMD in like a much better. It would put them in a much better position if all their cards could use this. But right now, man, this puts the 7000 series cards in a much better place. Now I got to this like little fight right here, and this dude whooped my booty. Oh no! This dude comes running at me. I'm stuck. I can't move. I'm like in mud. And really, oh, it was such a pain in the butt. So, all right, my friends, if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching this. Thank you guys. I really do kind of like this AMD fluid motion frames. I do think it's kind of cool, and I hope that they can get this good. So we'll see you guys in the next one.